Hi everyone, this is your astrologer Kira, but today I didn't forget to recommend good books to read. This is Serbian edition, it says Shakespeare Code on it. I took it by chance accidentally in the public library, and this book took me for a whole week because I can read it before my bed for a short time. This book took me by storm. I love this book and I recommend this book with all my heart. The book was written, just remember Shakespeare Code. Virginia M. Fellows wrote this book. This is Serbian translation of her name. What is this book about? You probably know that there were this great writer William Shakespeare who wrote extraordinary theater plays, and he lived in the time of big Queen Elizabeth. You know, that's red-headed queen with those things around her neck. It doesn't matter. He wrote Macbeth. He wrote King Lear and many theatrical plays, and he remained the one of the best there is. However, since the beginning of last century, there were people who were very seriously into William Shakespeare, and they have noticed that some parts of his dramas don't match the scenario, everything, and they started looking for clues, and they found the clues. And there was this man by the beginning of 20th century who decoded the Shakespeare Code, and everything went silent for many years or decades. But then this Virginia M. Fellows appeared again, and she started digging about this story, and she found out the story and published the whole story. So the story goes like this. In the time of Elizabeth I, Elizabeth was known as the Virgin Queen. She never got married. She was very pure, clean, and And she was very powerful queen of England. But then Sir Francis Bacon was born. And Sir Francis Bacon was her first illegitimate son. She had three sons. One of them was Lord Essex, and I love the story about Lord Essex in this book. So, Francis Bacon was raised by another family, and he was extremely clever, smart, and everything. For one part of his life, he went to France for educations and everything. He returned to England, and throughout his whole life he had to suffer because Queen Elizabeth, his mother, was a bit of a crazy woman, and she created all three sons with the same man. Don't let me tell you the whole story, but the story goes that she forced her lover to kill his legitimate wife. Then they secretly married when Francis was already born. She had two sons. None of her children were raised by her, but she checked on them and everything. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this William Shakespeare guy appears and writes genius plays for theaters, but there are no traces of him, and but he leaves the traces in his plays. And when you put his plays and you put them on a wheel and adjust them and everything, then you don't get the story just about Francis Bacon. You get the story about the whole Elizabeth I reign, her period, how she did, what she said, her mistakes, her craziness, and everything. You can read the whole story about that. Also, you can read the whole story about Lord Essex, and you can read about many political things and secrets that happened in England of that time. I thought that was a boring period of human history, something like that. But I love this book. After Elizabeth I's death, she assigned King James. And King James the First became the next King of England instead of Francis Bacon, instead of Lord Essex or this third guy. Lord Essex finished his life in Tower due to mistake, and Francis Bacon loved his half brother very much. But all of a sudden, William Shakespeare doesn't exist anymore, and he doesn't write anymore of the plays. But Francis Bacon, as he was very significant figure in the world of science of that time, of culture and everything, something like Leonardo da Vinci or Kepler, some of those figures. And if you read this book, and this book is magnificent, you will see all that. And in that time, this is very important information I'm giving you right now, because I wasn't so sure why all of our Bibles have the statement in the beginning. When you open the Bible, it says the King James edition. Maybe for you in the Western world this is not so odd, but for me, who belong to the Serbian Orthodox Church, divided from the Catholic, especially from Protestant churches. After that, we are divided from the 3rd or 4th century, I'm not sure anymore. Why do we have in our Cyrillic Bible the King James edition number 1? And why do Greek National Orthodox Church has the same in their Bible? And then I found that out in this book, because it is said that it is done by the King James. This is King James version. But King James didn't know anything about Bible. He could hardly sign his name off. The whole big work of readjusting the text, putting those texts in the Bible and putting out those texts in the Bible, organizing everything, organizing by the books. You know, there is no just the Old Testament, Torah, and the other scriptures Jewish people use. There is a New Testament, because we as Christians, we have to read the Old Testament and the New Testament related to the Jesus Christ and Christianity. So he was the one to organize everything, Sir Francis Bacon. And in this book you can find many pictures of him, of people, of those ages, the place he lived, his home, his house when he was a child, the other house where his other half brother was placed, and everything. This is a machine that decoded Shakespeare code 120 years ago, something like that, because in Shakespeare's plays there are certain notes that point you how to decode his plays. So if you read Shakespeare and you are amazed with his vocabulary, words, and all the twists and turns, and then all of a sudden there are 4 lines that are out of context, now you know that this is it. This was a tremendous work to make it, and then tremendous work to decode it. But from this moment, I adore Sir Francis Bacon, and I recommend this book, Shakespeare's Code, by Virginia M. Fellows, for you all to read, because you will be amazed. I can guarantee you that.